Today, I'll examine the relationship between data, privacy, and power in modern business environments. The central question is not simply how organizations access personal information, but how they use that access and what limits should apply. Personal data can support better decisions, more relevant services, and operational efficiency. At the same time, it can create risks when collection is unclear, consent is weak, or control shifts too far away from the people being observed. The key issue is where responsible business practice should draw the boundary. Stakeholders are the people and organizations connected to a company's data practices, often in ways they may not fully see. Customers include both buyers and end users, whose preferences, purchasing patterns, and demographics are tracked. Employees may be monitored through performance records, communications, and even physical movements. Partners and suppliers share critical business, and sometimes personal, data through integrated systems. Finally, investors provide financial and identity information, often to meet regulatory requirements. Together, these groups show how broadly data collection can extend across an organization's ecosystem. Businesses collect data through a wide range of channels, both direct and indirect. Direct channels involve information provided by stakeholders themselves, while indirect channels capture information through other interactions or sources. The key idea is that data collection is not limited to one form or one moment. It happens across many touchpoints, creating a broader view of stakeholder information. This wide array of channels reflects how modern businesses gather and organize the information they need to understand the people connected to them. Businesses rarely depend on just one source of information. Instead, they combine multiple channels and cross-reference the results to create a more complete picture of each stakeholder, sometimes referred to as a data portrait. Every interaction can become a data collection opportunity, from a direct engagement to a routine visit online. Even passively browsing a website may generate dozens of data points within seconds, often without the individual fully realizing how much information is being captured. This multi-channel approach makes stakeholder profiles more detailed, but also raises important questions about transparency and awareness. Businesses value this data because it can support several important goals. Personalization helps tailor products, services, and marketing to individual preferences, which can strengthen conversion and loyalty. Aggregated information also supports market research by revealing trends, helping forecast demand, and informing strategic decisions. Operationally, employee monitoring data may identify workflow improvements, reduce waste, and clarify productivity benchmarks. Finally, data can become a revenue source when businesses sell anonymized insights to third parties or advertisers. Together, these uses explain the strong commercial interest in collecting and analyzing stakeholder data. The privacy paradox describes a tension we see across modern business. People often value personalized experiences, such as recommendations, services, and communications that feel more relevant to their needs. At the same time, those same people may feel uneasy about the amount of personal information companies collect and the conclusions businesses can draw from it. The central challenge is balancing convenience with trust. This tension makes data sharing more than a technical issue. It is a question of transparency, responsibility, and modern business ethics. Several legal frameworks place clear limits on how organizations collect and use personal data. GDPR requires explicit consent, supports the right to be forgotten, and imposes strict handling standards. CCPA gives California residents rights to know what data is held, request deletion, and opt out of its sale. HIPAA adds specialized protections for medical information. Across these laws, the core principle is responsible data use. Collect only what is necessary, use it for the stated purpose, obtain informed consent, and give people meaningful access and control over their information. Ethical data practice goes beyond simply following the law. Legality sets the floor, not the standard. Transparency means clearly explaining what data is collected and why, rather than hiding important terms in fine print. Proportionality asks whether the amount of data is genuinely necessary for a legitimate business need. Security requires active protection against breaches, leaks, and unauthorized internal access. And accountability means assigning clear responsibility for data governance, with consequences when organizations fail. Together, these principles define a higher standard of trust and responsible business conduct. This slide shows what can happen when businesses push beyond responsible boundaries. High-profile data scandals have not only damaged public trust, but also helped drive landmark legislation around the world. Cambridge Analytica harvested Facebook user data without consent for political profiling, affecting 87 million users. The Equifax breach exposed sensitive financial information belonging to 147 million people due to poor security practices. And Amazon's second-by-second monitoring of warehouse workers raised serious labor rights concerns. Together, these cases show that overreach can create lasting social, legal, and reputational consequences. Balancing business interests with stakeholder rights requires a disciplined approach to data privacy. First, protect information rigorously, so privacy is treated as a fundamental responsibility rather than an afterthought. Second, use data transparently, making the organization's practices clear and understandable. Third, collect information responsibly, with restraint and respect for stakeholder expectations. The central idea is that privacy does not have to be a compliance burden. It can be a competitive advantage, building trust that supports lasting stakeholder loyalty and stronger long-term relationships. The key message is that data collection is widespread, while legal boundaries continue to evolve across regions. Ethical responsibility goes beyond compliance, requiring transparency, consent, and strong security. Ultimately, trust is the real currency. When stakeholders feel respected, they respond with loyalty, engagement, and advocacy,